better way to spend your Sunday if you're in the area. Mariners and Rangers, another spring training tilt from Surprise, Arizona. Great to be with you this afternoon as we get all set for a little baseball and continue to sort things out for this Rangers team. I'm Dave Raymond alongside Mr. Ranger Tom Grieve. The infield is something there weren't a lot of question marks about. I mean, Beltre's missed time, Odor's missed time. Even Elvis Andrus was late in camp because of the surgery, but that's never really been much of an issue this year.
No, that's not an issue. You look at Lucroy at catcher, Napoli at first base. Those are five of the key guys, five veteran guys where you look for most of the offense to come from.
Then on the other hand, we have the outfield, and there's still a lot of names involved and a lot of questions yet to be answered.
There are. Chu, Mazzara, right field, Gomez, center field, pretty well set. But look at the other battles. Jurickson Profar for left field has had a great World Baseball Classic, hit over 500. Ryan Rua has hit left-handed pitchers well in the past. He's having a big spring. Delino DeShields a couple of years ago was a key part of the Ranger offense, stealing bases, getting on base. He's doing that right now this spring. Leads the team in walks and stolen bases. Has an on-base percentage of almost 40%. And Drew Robinson, no big league experience, minor leaguer, making an impression, though, with power, pretty good speed, and a lot of versatility.
Yeah, the best part about it, all of them playing well into this spring. I mean, nobody's backing into this job. Hey, we found the bats in Texas during Big League Weekend. We'll see if they follow along here to Arizona this afternoon against the Mariners.
It's truck month.
Well, back here in the Sonoran Desert, Surprise Stadium in Surprise, Arizona, and it feels desert-like at long last. 90 degrees as we get ready to go this afternoon. Really a pretty beautiful day down here in the desert. Just a slight breeze, which oftentimes can be a major factor in these spring training games. Let's take a look at our lineup, starting with the Seattle Mariners. They've had a very nice spring. The visiting club 15-8 so far in Cactus League play. Scott Service, their skipper today. Not a lot of regulars in his lineup, unless you're maybe on the more educated side of a Seattle Mariners fandom. Mitch Haniger, rookie, will be their everyday right fielder. Dan Vogelbach is going to be in a platoon, another rookie at first base for them. He's batting fifth today. He and Danny Valencia, batting just ahead of him in the order today, are going to be sharing that platoon at first base. So not a lot of big names for the Mariners in that lineup today. But they will get a look at Eddie Gamboa, the knuckleballer. And for us, we'll get a chance to look at Eddie Gamboa as well. You see his numbers last year with Tampa Bay. Got a little cup of coffee last season, but, you know, the big leagues have been elusive for Gamboa. He became a knuckleball pitcher in 2013 and continues to try and hone that pitch. He'll throw it about 75%, maybe more, in today's start. And we take a look at the defense behind him this afternoon. A little bit different look with Gallo out in left field, DeShields in center, Chu in right. DeShields really nice play in San Antonio out in left field. Doug Bernier has been a real bright spot defensively. It's a start at shortstop. And the guy we'll have our eyes on, Chu, getting the start in right field. But I think the guy of interest today, Tag, is going to be Jimenez behind the plate, catching a knuckleballer. He's a really nice kid. He said beforehand, though, he's caught one bullpen for R.A. Dickey. He's caught one bullpen for Eddie Gamboa. And he caught a little bit for Tomaoka, who was trying to come back stateside as a knuckleballer. You could tell, though, not real comfortable with this assignment.
Yeah, I think as a catcher with limited experience catching a knuckleball, the first thing you hope is none of their fast guys get on first base, so you have to worry about catching and throwing on a stolen base attempt. And you're not too comfortable when there's a man on third base either. And even the guys that are accustomed to catching knuckleball pitchers feel the same way. If that thing does something funny, it doesn't matter who you are, it's going to be tough to catch.
And more than likely, it will do something funny at some point in the game. 2-1 the count to Guillermo Heredia. Last year, a little bit of time, 45 games with the big club. Heredia leading it off today in center field. And we mentioned the knuckleball for Eddie Gamboa. You'll see a little sinker today and a slider from him as well, but just not that often. Grooves that one to bring the count full on Heredia.
Most knuckleball pitchers became knuckleball pitchers because their other stuff was not going to get them to the big leagues.
Well, the full count pitch bounced to short. Bernier has a little trouble with it. And with the speed of Heredia, won't get him. So an error right out of the gates this afternoon.
We get the count to 3-2. Got what looked like a routine ball to shortstop. Doug decided to backhand it, but couldn't grab it in his glove. It turned into an error. Generally a steady defensive player, whether he's playing second or shortstop. But they become a knuckleball pitcher because the rest of their stuff was a little bit short. That's why most knuckleball pitchers, when you see their fastball, it's somewhere generally between 80 and 86 miles an hour. And it's interesting to watch and see how they mix in their fastball. Some guys will throw the fastball early in the count so that the hitter can't gauge it. In other words, if you throw it every time you're behind in the count 2-0, 3-1 because you're having a hard time getting your knuckleball over, that 85-mile-an-hour fastball can get turned around. So what some guys do, they'll start a guy out with a fastball when they're not expecting it to get ahead in the count. So we'll see what Eddie's game plan is.
We had to do a little work with Heredia. And then the misplay behind him. Oh, good pickoff move to first.
Whoa.
And I don't know about that one.
The ball was there. I don't know if his hand beat the tag, but he was picked off. His hand might have got back before he was tagged. Let's see. Yeah, he might have gotten back.
Yep. Yeah, I think so.
Nice evasive slide.
Roberto Ortiz, our first base umpire, at least at the moment, and a bouncer wide of third makes the count 1-1. And that's the thing about Gamboa is he's always had a very good pickoff move. Not a pickoff move that he had to come up with as a result of being a knuckleballer, but it's a pickoff move he's always had. And it was interesting to get a good look at it as early as we have this afternoon.
Well, it's a lot easier to steal on a good knuckleball because it takes more time to get to the plate. It's slower, and the catcher has a hard time catching it cleanly, transferring it to his throwing hand and throwing it. There's a knuckleball that gets away, up and away. So it is important for a knuckleball pitcher to have a good move, to be able to hold the runner, not have a big leg kick, get the delivery to the plate quickly. And that's one thing. Charlie Huff was a longtime Ranger, had a very good pickoff move, was quick to the plate sometimes, slower in other times, trying to disrupt the timing of the runner at first base so that the first base runner couldn't time the knuckleball and get a big lead and get a big jump.
Motter waits on this one and just floats it over third. The base hit will try to chase Heredia to third base, and he's in there. So Motter, he didn't know a whole lot with that. Heredia got a good read off the bat, and he was thinking third all the way.
Yeah, it's kind of an unfortunate start for Eddie Gamboa, who got a ground ball to shortstop that turned into an error. And this pitch, the knuckleball runs in on the fists of Motter, who just blooped a little jam shot over third base, didn't hit it hard enough so that Joey Gallo could get to it and prevent Heredia from going to third base.
And you see Heredia, he was thinking third all the way, as now Mitch Haniger takes a strike. Haniger getting the start at right field today. One of a handful of rookies who they expect to play really significant roles in Seattle this summer. A little, looked like he got started early on that one, tried to slow himself up, but in a whole 0-2. He was the minor league player of the year last year in the Diamondbacks system. Bounces it third, and that's a fair ball. Heredia will score easily. Motter has very good speed, and he'll just cruise into third on what is a double by Mitch Haniger. Mariners strike first. It's 1-0.
And the unfortunate start kind of continues for Gamboa. That ball was not hit that hard, but it was well placed. Had a little spin on it and went right down the line. Nothing Will Middlebrooks could do on it. Yeah, who knows what happens. But if the ground ball to shortstop is turned into an out on the first hitter, you're pitching from the windup, not the stretch, and might be out of the inning already. And it is, you got to figure out how to get out of a second and third now jam.
Yeah, really tricky spot now for Eddie Gamboa. And he gets right into the heart of the Mariners order. Danny Valencia today at third base, but as we mentioned, will likely be in a platoon at first with the man waiting on deck. Valencia has always made hay against lefties. Done a very good job against left-handed hitting, and they'll give Vogelbach a break against lefties, generally speaking. You see the Mariners, they've scored some runs this spring. In fact, there was a game almost a week ago, Tag, I saw I think they beat Milwaukee like 24-3, and it was like 21-1 after 4 innings.
Well, you mentioned that they have some names that might not be household names, but young guys that are figuring into the Mariners' plans, and they're 15-8. They've got the best record in the Cactus League, and some of those names like Heredia and Motter or Haniger, other guys in the lineup down at the bottom, are all playing well. Good batting averages, knocking in runs, so the young guys are one of the main reasons they're 15-8. They've been getting it done.
Yeah, it's got service in his now second year at the helm of the Mariners. He really did a nice job last year with the 86 wins and navigated the Mariners through a lot of injuries. In fact, I think they had 19 players hit the disabled list, 4 of whom were in the opening day starting rotation. That's tough to do and still end up with a winning record, but they certainly did.
Danny Valencia's hanging in there, but he's not too comfortable with the swings he's taking at that slow knuckleball.
Well, to Gamboa's credit, you go back to the hit by Motter. That wasn't exactly tattooed. So I think he's had him fooled. Very good pitch. Strike 3 called, and Valencia down looking.
He drops the knuckleball right on the outside corner, it looked like. So far, A.J. Jimenez is doing a pretty good job of catching that knuckleball.
Now the glove you see Jimenez wearing right there, the little bit larger model that is built for knuckleball catchers. It's not his, it's Gamboa's. Gamboa hauls that around with him for his catchers. He's now Vogelbach. Starts off with ball one. There you go. You get just a little bit extra. Try and stop those wayward knuckleballs from skidding all the way to the backstop. Well, another one of the rookies for the Mariners, Daniel Vogelbach. And he is a guy that they hope will produce some offense. He is a bat-first guy. A little pop-up near short, though. Results in the second out of the inning. Well, you said it just a little bit ago, Tex. Try and navigate through a second and third no-out situation, and now all of a sudden Gamboa 1 out away from doing so.
Yeah, the first 3 guys didn't do a whole lot. 2 of them ended up getting hits in the air. And the next 2 guys haven't done much either. Strikeout and a little pop-up, but won't mean much if you can't get O'Neill right here. Second and third, 2 outs. Trying to put the last out on the board and keep it a 1-run inning for the Mariners.
Well, he starts O'Neill off with a strike. O'Neill, the designated hitter today. You can see those numbers last year, very good in his time split between Double and Triple A, the Mariners organization. Or pardon me, most of that time rather at Double A in the Southern League. He was the MVP of the Southern League last year, despite being the youngest player in the league. And a little nubber, that's trouble. Everybody's safe. And in fact, they'll try for 2 runs, but the good throw has Haniger out at the dish to end the inning. Well, a lot going on that one, but the inning ultimately over. The Mariners plate 2, though, in their first at bat. The Rangers coming up. Well, a 2-0 beginning for the Mariners today. How about the final play of that top half of the inning, Tag?
Well, that ball hit right off the end of the bat, and that ball's got so much spin on it. When Drew Robinson went to barehand it, that ball just spun right out of his hand. It's not like a normal ground ball, a little dribbler, where you booted it. That ball hit his hand. It just spun so fast that it went out of his hand. Fortunately, Bernier was there to make the play at the plate. But that was a pitch, knuckleball, where the hitter O'Neill was fooled on it. Just hit it off the end of the bat to create that spin. Ended up with a base hit and an RBI. Tough inning for Eddie Gamboa, who pitched a lot better than the results.
Now, Dylan Overton, who makes the start today for the Mariners, 25-year-old left-hander. Overton with the Oakland A's last year. And pumps in a strike to Delano DeShields. Delano's had himself a nice spring so far. On base average at .395. Lays down the bunt. It's foul. But interesting on that play, look, the idea of the knuckleball is that you get it up to the plate with no spin on it, right? I mean, that's the whole point. And then it moves accordingly. And then off the bat, then that one had extra spin on it. Maybe they should start doing spin rate off the bat.
Well, that would have been about at the top of the list as far as how much you can make a ball spin when you hit it off the end of the bat.
Well, DeShields ropes one out into right field. And Delino with another hit. He's on to start the bottom of the first.
That was a nice swing right there. That was a short, compact, powerful swing where he waited on the ball and lined it sharply into right field. Get a look from the side. No wasted motion there. Just a short, compact swing. If you can keep that swing all season long, to go with the patience that Delino's been showing. He's walked 8 times. He leads the team, tied for the lead anyway, and walks. Great on base percentage. He's 5 for 5 stealing bases, so he's lost some weight. He's on a mission to make the ball club. Looks great.
Really does. I mean, it looks like a different person this year, and he has played like one. As you look at Chu's numbers from last year in the limited 48 games he was able to play. That's been another bright spot this spring, has been just Chu being healthy out there, able to play every day. Changed his workout regimen this offseason as well. So Delino worked extra hard. He dropped some weight, tried to get back to that liner more svelte self, use his speed, and it's worked for him. Chu, it was interesting talking to him when we got here to spring training. He had to go the opposite way, and he said it was really a difficult adjustment for him to try and rein in the workouts a little bit. Now DeShields running. The pitch a strike. The throw to second, not in time. 6th stolen base of the spring for Delino DeShields.
Yeah, he basically just outran that pitch. Didn't look like Overton did anything to give him a great advantage stealing. A fairly quick leg kick. Catcher gets rid of it quickly. Ball's a little bit off target, but he knows DeShields is running, and he had to get rid of it quickly. Nice solid jump, great speed. 6 for 6 now stealing bases.
So Delino's impressive spring continues, and he's in scoring position now for Chu. With 3 infielders on the right side against Chu, and he'll bunt. Overton was falling to the third base side, but he'll recover and make the play. The bunt, though, moves DeShields to third.
Designated hitter number 14, Carlos Gomez.
Taking a look at the Rangers lineup today, you've seen DeShields and Chu, but Gomez, Gallo, and Arua in the heart of the order. Gallo has been red hot lately, and he has been a big story around here this spring. Drew Robinson, one of the other great stories, batting 7th, and what he's been able to do at the plate. Gomez with a .333 average this spring. And lots of extra base hits. A couple of homers, 3 doubles. And they're really picking up where he left off last regular season with the Rangers. Those numbers you see on your screen dampened significantly by the time he spent with the Astros. Did he go? Yes, he did. I like the look of that. Rangers have started to play a lot better baseball this spring in terms of wins and losses. A lot of it are trends like that with Gomez. Driving a lot of runs lately, and a chance right here.
I think all I have to do is look at the offense when they weren't winning before the last week.
What offense?
They were at the bottom of the barrel as far as scoring runs, getting base hits. And they weren't winning. Since the bats have started to liven up a little bit, the wins have started to come along as well.
Well, a slight shift on the infield for Gomez. They shade him to pull it. Count now 2-2. Yeah, there you see Robinson, who has been quite the story, and Ryan Arua driving in a lot of runs. Gallo and Gomez have been on the tears lately. A lot of names you'd expect to see this summer doing damage for the Rangers. Overton's 2-2. And he fooled Gomez. So a strikeout. Now 2 gone in the first, and it will bring up Joey Gallo.
A good assortment of off-speed pitches there at the end. I think the one before it was a changeup. That looked like a slider down and in. Oh, good job, man on third base, less than 2 outs. Overton got the strikeout. And we were talking about the Rangers last week, that the bats weren't hitting, they weren't scoring, they weren't winning. But that was not alarming, because when the season starts, there's going to be a different lineup, different players.
There's a long strike.
Watch out. And the one thing you know about the Rangers is they've got proven hitters who can hit and that the team will score. So the fact that it wasn't happening early in spring training really didn't make much of an impact on anything as far as worrying about the wins and losses.
One can never get too crazy about the wins and losses during spring training. 1-1 to Joey Gallo. Take another look at that foul ball a moment ago.
And Joey's on a pretty good streak. Nice swing right there. Just a little bit out in front of it. Had home run distance.
And that home run sound too. 7 for 19 with 6 RBIs in his last 7 games.
Boy, speaking about that sound and home run distance, how about that ball that Giancarlo Stanton hit last night for the U.S. in the WBC? That looked like one of the balls he was hitting in the home run derby in San Diego last year. Ball hit the bat, and the next thing you knew, it hit on a line like a tee shot off that building in left field.
Well, that was something else. That moment, a big one last night for the United States. Gallo shanks this one off, 2-2. And then the other moment last night for the Americans, that catch by Adam Jones, bringing the home run back off the bat of Manny Machado.
That was Oriole teammate. That was
yeah.
Manny tipped his hat to him as he got towards second base and saw him make that play. That was exciting. 2-2
to Gallo, and he'll go down swinging, inning over. So DeShields got on with a base hit, but the Rangers can't get him home. Mariners with a 2-0 lead. Fans enjoying the sunshine today. A little ice cream out on the hill. Well, we take a look at the WBC bracket, and just a heart-stopping win last night for the United States over the Dominican Republic. They will play Tuesday against Japan in hopes of advancing against the winner of Netherlands-Puerto Rico. They play tomorrow night. 2 wins away, potentially, from winning their first WBC. The United States. Japan won the first 2. Dominican Republic won the last one, but they are now eliminated. How did your bracket look? Did you have those 4 there?
I didn't make a bracket for it. I've kind of been waiting for the U.S. to get hot zip through the brackets and win that thing. There does seem to be more interest in it now than ever before. And I've been a convert. I wasn't that excited about it when it first started, but when I watch the games and watch the reaction of the fans and listen to the players and how they've reacted to it and the level of competition and the level of effort being put forward, I'm all for it now. I like it. I think the players are starting to rally behind their country, and they're playing great baseball and playing as hard as they can, and it's exciting to watch.
I think I'm with you. I think when it started, I was lukewarm at best. I saw all the criticisms, right? The interruption of spring training, the potential for injury. Year by year, might have gained just a tad bit of interest, and this year I'm locked in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. It definitely has that same level or a similar level of energy as the World Cup soccer generates, at least stateside. Well, it doesn't compare to the World Cup globally, certainly.
And the games in Miami were really exciting. A lot of fans from the Dominican Republic for the Dominican Republic team there, but they just made for an exciting baseball game. Japanese have always taken it very serious right from the start. You see the fundamentally sound baseball with good pitching has led them to the championship a couple of times. The Dominican Republic, you look at their team, that's a Major League All-Star team that they're throwing out there. They've got a great team. Not all the best U.S. players are playing, but the ones that are playing hard and are all-star players in their own right as well.
Freeman with the high chopper second. Drew Robinson is there. 2 quick outs for Eddie Gamboa here in the second inning.
And we talked about Eddie and giving up the 2 runs, 2 unearned runs in the first inning. He was not hit hard at all. He ended up giving up a couple of runs on 3 hits, but if a play is made behind him, chances are that's a shutout inning as well. But nice to see him come back and pitch well here in the second inning, get a couple of quick outs.
Well, facing the 9th place hitter now, Tyler Smith. Shortstop for the Mariners this afternoon, and starts him off with a strike. Smith, an 8th round pick in 2013 by the Mariners out of Oregon State. Southern California kid, went to Thousand Oaks High School. And a chance, like a lot of young players during spring training, a chance to come out and make an impression on the big league staff. That's an impression that he'd probably rather leave somewhere else. A 1-2-3 inning for Eddie Gamboa, however. Inning and a half as the Rangers up by 2. Nothing Mariners. And as we go to the bottom of the second inning, Rua, Middlebrooks, Robinson due against Dylan Overton. Jeff Bannister and his staff continuing to work through all the myriad possibilities. How did things break down when you look at the potential bench for Banny? There's some spots that seem pretty well locked up, and there's still a lot to be figured out.
Yeah, there's probably, if you assume that Chirinos, Profar, and Rua are going to be on the team, and I think most people would, then there's a couple of spots left and a lot of varied talents vying for those positions. I think Delino DeShields would be at the top of that list based on the spring he's had, based on what he's done in the past, the speed, that dimension that he brings to the table. None of the other guys are able to bring that. Drew Robinson is a very interesting kid, and is it better for him?
That ball hit well into left field. A base hit for Ryan Rua.
Is it better for a kid like Robinson to be in AAA playing every day, or to make the big league team in a utility role? And Jeff Bannister said, well, we're going to balance that out and do what's best for him, do what's best for the team, trying to win ball games. And Ryan Rua is doing today with that swing exactly what you hope he'll do, and that's pound left-handed pitching. That was a big swing and a rope into left field. Good start to the inning, kind of like Delino started out the first inning. But you know, Ryan brings versatility, play first base, the outfield positions, third base if you wanted him to, and he came up as a second baseman, so he's got versatility and the ability to hit left-handed pitching. He's had a taste of the big leagues in the past, last couple years, ready to assume a role on the team. Nice to see him doing well. Will Middlebrooks has been a regular in the big leagues with the Red Sox and the Padres. Third baseman James Loney, the 9-year veteran, a .285 big league hitter in his career. There's still some candidates left, not a lot of openings, but each guy that's still getting playing time, still vying for a role on the team, brings something different to the party. And that'll be up to Jeff and his coaching staff to look at all those players and determine which ones come together to make the team the best team on opening day.
And you see Middlebrooks has been making an argument lately. Dialed in a little bit, average at .282 for the spring. A home run, but he has a couple of doubles, a triple in there as well. So the Mariners got a couple of wacky runs at the top of the first inning, and that has been all. Rangers now have had a couple of base runners, and Rua is moving. Bouncer to short will result in just the one out. So a good spot for Rua to be on the way. Middlebrooks retired 6-3, but it works almost like a sacrifice for him. We'll bring up Drew Robinson. So when you're a general manager this time of year, you're starting to weigh all those various factors you're just talking about. Some of the guys bring a little extra versatility, some bring some power, maybe an ability to hit lefties or righties or whatever the case. How difficult was it trying to parse all of that information and make that decision for that opening day roster?
I guess a lot depends on who the players are and how well they're playing and what you think of them. And you know, if you've got a lot of good players all playing well, then it gets kind of difficult. I think as you look at the guys that are competing for jobs now with the Rangers, I think that coming into camp, everybody thought that Jurickson Profar and Ryan Rua would have at least a good shot to platoon in left field. And Ryan has had a big spring. He's hit left-handed pitching well. Jurickson has been a terrific player in the World Baseball Classic, playing against good competition, Japan and Cuba. He's playing for the Netherlands, so neither one of those guys have hurt their chances of doing that, what they were expected to do. It's pretty easy to pick Robinson Chirinos. He's been a Ranger regular catcher, and now he fits into the backup role to Jonathan Lucroy. And then when you look at the other two spots, I think you have to start with Delino DeShields and the way he's playing. It's not like it's coming out of the blue. Last year was a disappointing year for Delino. But the year before, he was a key part of the Rangers' success, hitting at the top of the lineup for most of the season, playing the outfield, stealing bases, getting on base. Didn't happen for him last year, but he made a change. He lost all the weight. Looks like a different player. Not that he was out of shape last year. He was just a different kind of shape, bigger and stronger, and that's really not his game. He's not going to be any kind of a power hitter. He didn't need the bulk for his hitting. He needed to be more sleek for his running, and that's what he is right now, 6 for 6 in stolen bases. So I think you have to start with him. And then when you look at the other spots, again, there's a lot of different candidates, and I think it's just a matter of which way that they choose to go. I don't think you can go wrong. And the ones that get chosen, if they go to the minor leagues, then those are guys you'll keep an eye on if they're needed during the season.
True to form here, Drew Robinson has worked a deep count, 3-1. Might have chased ball 4, but it's a full count now to Robinson, and he is, you know, in his career, he has proven to be a very patient hitter, and he's walked 7 times this spring against 11 strikeouts. Has shown power, 3 home runs, and an intriguing option again because a guy who can play in the outfield, he could play on the infield for you, and just about anywhere. One of the things he hasn't done in his career, pitch and catch. He gets a good swing off here, high center field, but no wind to carry it too deep today. Heredia makes the play, and Rua will move up 1 base.
Pretty good throw from center field by Heredia. He didn't have much of a chance to get Ryan, but kind of flat-footed in fairly deep center field. He threw a 1-hop strike to third base. Nicely done. No one else on base, so you might as well launch it and see if you get lucky. Maybe the guy pulls a hamstring on the way to third base, but it's a pretty good throw right there from where he was. I think, Dave, when it's really hard and you look at the last guys for positions when you don't like any of them.
Right.
Now you say to yourself, well, unfortunately, several of these guys are going to have to make the team, and we're not thrilled about any of our alternatives. I don't think the Rangers are in that position right now.
No, definitely a blessing to have multiple options, and all of them that bring something real positive right now and who are playing real well as they are right now. Second inning in a row that the Rangers have a man at third base. They left the Shields there in the first. And Rua hoping that A.J. Jimenez can get him home. Jimenez with a .250 average in Cactus League play this year. And he'll be down swinging. Third strikeout this afternoon for Overton, and he strands another man at third base. It's 2-0 Imms. Two-0 Mariners as we move it along to the third inning, and Tony Beasley, third base coach, joining us here in the third inning. And Tony, thanks for taking some time with us. Great as always to catch up as we get back from San Antonio. Did you have fun down there?
Yeah, it's always a nice little break in kind of like mid-spring training. So it's a couple days, it gets us away and kind of a different type of atmosphere. So it's fun.
Tony, I think anybody that knows you and the people that have read about you look at you with a smile on your face and see the positive person you are. Did you grow up that way, and who was responsible for that?
Well, I've always been that way. Actually, as a kid, my nickname was Smiley. So that's appropriate. But my mother and my father, they always promoted that we carry ourselves. I have 7 brothers and sisters, so it was important to my family and my parents the way that we carried ourselves and presented ourselves as respectful and caring. So that was just a part of it growing up.
So with your siblings, your brothers and sisters, were all of them as upbeat and happy and positive as you? Or there had to be a grump in the group, right?
Well, I'd say 6 out of the 8 pretty much.
Yeah, don't mention any names. You know, Tony, it's been well chronicled, the illness that you've gone through. And speaking of responsible and caring, I know you've expressed a great deal of gratitude to the Rangers and how supportive they are and have been with you throughout your ordeal. Is that the case?
Absolutely. You know, the Ranger organization, from top to bottom, they've been outstanding. Unbelievable support, and just in all facets, whatever I was in need of, they were there. And just the amount of care and love that I received and continue to receive was just a tremendous blessing for me. I'm so grateful to be a part of this organization.
And where are you now as far as your health goes?
So far, I have a clean bill of health. I'm cancer-free. And I've just had my checkups coming. My first one will be in June, which will be a 6-month checkup. So every 6 months I'll do scans and just make sure everything is still gone, which I anticipate it will be. But I'm feeling well.
Great.
Energy's good. I'm good.
So, Tony, you know, you have great relationships with everybody down there in that dugout, but there seem like there are certain individuals you really connect with. Yesterday there was just a beautiful scene. You, at first, I can't remember where it was. Yesterday with
Mazzara.
And gave you a big hug. You guys were hanging out. What? Explain that relationship a little bit, if you would.
Well, I mean, Maz just came over and he just grabbed me and hugged me, and had his hand on my helmet, and he towers over me anyhow. But you know what? Last year I connected with Maz, and just like I do with all the guys, I think it's important. And one thing we try to do as an organization is impact individuals and invest in people, and that's important to me. I just think it's important that I get to know every guy and who their families are, and what their hobbies are, what their likes, dislikes are, and invest in the individual. And then the baseball kind of takes care of itself. So that's kind of how those relationships form and how they grow.
Tony, when you look at the way spring training has gone, it's been an unusual spring training because 8 guys have been at the World Baseball Classic. But from your perspective, with that in mind, how has spring training gone for the organization? It's
been good. It gives us a chance to get a good look at a lot of guys within the organization. A lot of the guys from the minor league side have had opportunity to come over and play, and have played well, and have opened some eyes and made names for themselves. So that part of it has been great. And I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of different infielders within the organization as well. With Odor gone and Elvis was out early, and then Beltre's gone as well. So it's a different look for sure. It's not the same, not having those presences in the clubhouse. But at the same time, it's been fun, and we've been able to get a lot accomplished.
I want to ask you about Drew Robinson, a guy who has opened some eyes this spring. A lot with his bat, but his versatility. You've no doubt spent a lot of time with him working on some infield stuff. How's he looked to you?
He's looked tremendously well. He's made some adjustments from where he was the first week of camp until now. I'm very pleased with it. It's difficult when you move around the diamond. The outfield and infield, the throwing is different. The fielding is different. And so to make sure that he stays on top of his fielding foundation when he comes back to the infield is important. So we've done some things with his glove, or positioning his glove, carrying his glove, and in his setup and pre-pitch that he's really taken to. So I've been really pleased with him. He's been a spark for us. He swung the bat well also. And just good to see a guy that can move around and add flexibility to the staff.
Well, Tony, we need to let you go, but I do want to ask one last thing. The free throw shooting's so much fun. You kind of officiate that scene back there. It's a raucous scene every morning. What about the coaches? Have you guys had a competition yet? And if so, who would win that free throw contest?
Well, Banny called myself out early, and I had to face Jace Tingler. I lost. Tingler's very good. But the pitching coaches will go at it at some point. Holman and Brookell, they're going to go at it probably within the next couple of days. So I guess within the coaching staff, Holman's pretty good. Last year I think he made 4 out of 5, and he's kind of chomping at the bit to go this year. So we'll give him his opportunity, and maybe he and Tingler will tee up and see who wins that battle.
All right, Smiley, we appreciate it. Thanks for the time today. Now get some of those guys in from third, will you?
If I can, real quick,
yeah.
I must note that John Daniels did go this morning, and he was 5 for 5.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
I got to give him his props.
Yes, that is worth noting.
All right.
Worth noting. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Tony Beasley, third base coach, and the the official out there during those free throw shooting contests. Does a great job. And it is it's a wild scene when you happen to walk into it. All the guys out there, and Chu has mixed it up this year. He's got a new act every time he gets called out onto the court.
Well, one thing nice about having Tony Beasley with the ball club is for those of us around the team, there's days where you're not in the best mood, something's bothering you, you're down a little bit. All you have to do is walk by Tony Beasley and start a conversation with him, and that feeling disappears in a hurry. Especially when you see a guy that maintained that attitude as sick as he was last year. In spite of all that, he didn't change a bit.
No, you never saw it. And he does have that personality. Guys just tend to gravitate toward him. Smiley seems like a really appropriate nickname for him as a kid.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Eddie Gamboa got 2 quick outs. And now strikes out Vogelbach to end a small threat by the Mariners in the third. We played 2.5. It's 2-0 Seattle. Plan offers opening day free. 6 different plans available, all starting at just $180 each. Go to TexasRangers.com/10-game plan to buy yours today. Some good moves. A lot of fun to be had out at the old ballpark. I'm sure, if Prince Fielder had a chance to talk to that young man, he'd tell him footwork's very important. And he seemed to have some. All right, Doug Bernier starting the third inning and taking a strike from Dylan Overton, who's pitched pretty well so far this afternoon. Now, Bernier, one of those guys you can't help but root for. Pops this one up, foul, and out of play. Bernier, a guy who's been around for a while and has done everything that teams could ask of him. He's played everywhere. And just wants to get that chance to stick at the big league level. He's had 4 runs in the big leagues, 4 years where he's had a little taste here and there. But it's been very hard for him to find that regular spot. .167 average this spring. So he hasn't turned heads with a bat, but he can really help all over the diamond. Got in on him a little bit there, and the count stays 1-2. But I would imagine, Tag, you have an appreciation for guys. I think anybody in baseball would have an appreciation for guys who stick around as long as Doug has, and worked as hard as he has to stay right there on the razor's edge. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think when you see a guy like that without even knowing him, and I don't know Doug, you can just make an assumption and feel pretty confident that, number one, he has a great love for the game to have played that long and spent so much time in the minor leagues. And the other thing is he's got to be a great guy and a team kind of guy that brings a lot more to the table than just playing the game. Otherwise, teams I don't think would have wanted him to be a minor league player for 16 years. And that's exactly what he's been. Very interested listening to people talk about the blog that he has, where he's recorded notes for all the years that he's played on managers' strategy, infield strategy, and he's made a website out of it that Jeff Bannister said he goes to and learns from. So, you know, you've got a guy that's given back to the game in that way. And when you see him in camp, you see other players, young players, kind of gravitate toward him almost like he's a coach. So he's a guy that'll play for a long time, and then if he chooses, I'm sure there'll be a place for him managing, coaching, instructing, whatever he wants to do with the rest of his career.
This was Delano DeShields in the first inning. Hard hit ball right field. Continues to swing it well, and then shows off the speed again. His 6th stolen base this spring.
You can just tell a difference between him this year and last year as far as that first step quickness that it takes to steal a base. He does look quicker this year. It's translating into success in spring training. And the swing he put on that fastball to drive it into right field was a beautiful swing the first time up.
On a hole here, 0-2.
He's shown patience with 8 walks. San Antonio, he was up, had 7 plate appearances and walked 4 times there. So he's working to get on base. And it's an asset. When he gets on base, he can make things happen. Even if he doesn't steal a base, he can score in so many different ways.
Well, he's an immediate distraction. Good fastball there. 1-2 to DeShields. With 2 strikes, they changed their defensive alignment against Delano. Play him now to pull the ball to the left side. They were leaving the middle wide open. Gonna pop this one down the right side. Long run for Vogelbach, and he can't get to it. Well, as you were talking about Doug Bernier, we saw a little bit of the brilliance of Dave Burchett, our director, in the truck, because he turned and he got a shot of the skipper, Jeff Bannister, while you were talking. And the subtlety there is that Jeff Bannister was Doug Bernier, right? I mean, Banny understands what guys like Bernier have gone through, and he understands what it means to be a lifer in the game and to always be competing and working for that spot, for that opportunity. 2-2 to DeShields. He gives him great credibility with his charges on a daily basis. Overton with 4 strikeouts this afternoon. The lefty's been sharp at times, but he has really had to work against Delano DeShields. Overton probably slated for AAA Tacoma as they try to sort out their rotation in Seattle, but he may be a guy who is able to contribute at some point during the regular season for them on a call-up.
He's got a good assortment of off-speed pitches. He's got a sneaky fastball, 89, 90 miles an hour. And he throws a lot of changeups, sliders, it looks like, off-speed pitches, 78 to 80 miles an hour. The kind of guy that can keep you off balance.
A couple options left. They acquired him on a waiver claim from Oakland this offseason. Mr. Shields, high, slow chopper, tough play third, and there would be no play. Valencia, knowing no doubt that he had to really get rid of that quickly, lost the handle, and DeShields is aboard again.
Yeah, after he caught that ball, he's going to have to take some steps to get in position to throw, and it would have been a close play at first base. I'm not positive he could have thrown Delano out anyway.
But is an error on Valencia. And we'll see if DeShields tries to run again.
Well, if you're Dylan Overton, you have to assume that he's going to try to do that. And let's see if he can keep it from happening.
Well, that's step one. Overton, 6'2", 175 pounds. Well, we've seen a quick slide step. In fact, it was a pretty quick step to the plate last time when Delano took off. And Chu continues to wait. Chu laid down the bunt in the first inning after DeShields had taken second base, got him over to third. I believe DeShields, with that stolen base back in the first inning, now moves into a tie for the most in Cactus League play. It's sort of hard sometimes to get the updated league standings on those things. And Chu takes one tight for ball one. Chu last year, 4 trips to the disabled list. It was a year of frustration for him. Another check on Delano. And so we referenced it briefly when he came up in the first inning, but Chu said that one of the things he had to do was really scale back his workouts. Go a little more cardiovascular, a little less weight and strength training. And just go shorter. He's, more like 45-minute workouts versus 2-hour workouts. But the struggle for him was he felt like if I'm not working hard, if I'm not really pushing myself, then how am I getting better? And it was Adrian Beltre who pulled him aside and said, well, here's the thing. You're older. You can't. Your body can't do as much. You gotta scale it back a little. DeShields not going. It's 2-0 to Chu.
Yeah, whatever the plan is, his plan, the coach's plan, the trainer's plan, it has to revolve around playing as many games as he possibly can and staying healthy this year. That's one of the reasons why he's going to spend a lot of time as the designated hitter, feeling that it reduces the risk of injury.
3-0 now to Chu. And we've referenced at times this spring that great run he went on at the end of 2015.
Yeah, I love looking at that because those numbers, leading the major leagues in the month of September, an average on base percentage, hits and runs, that's the first time that had happened since Willie Mays did it back in the 50s. So it goes to show you what he meant to the ball club.
Well, Delano running again on the 3-0, and he steals his 7th base of the spring.
Well, maybe the pitcher, Dylan Overton, let his guard down a little bit with a 3-0 count, but Delano had a huge jump. And the catcher, Tuffy Goswich, had no chance to throw him out. You can see where he is when he caught that ball, about halfway to second base.
It's still a very good hitter's count here for Chu. 3 infielders on the right side. And he'll shoot this one high in the air, center field. Long run, Heredia, and he'll make the catch. Delano can't even tag. He'd gone about halfway. I think that one would be beyond the reach of Heredia. Long fly ball out for Chu.
Now we saw a similar ball in the second inning. That was a ball that Drew Robinson hit almost like that with Rua at second base. Rua tagged up and went to third base. The difference was when Rua went to third base, there was no outs. And when he got to third base, he was at third base with 1 out.
Yeah, with that being the second out of the inning, Shields,
you're a little more cautious.
Yeah.
You know, you can't score from third base on a sacrifice fly, and so you're a little more cautious. But if you're Delino, once you see that he's zeroing in on the ball and going to catch it, then it would make sense to get to third base because you can score in a lot of different ways: an infield hit, an error, pass ball, wild pitch. And I would guess that if Delino had to do it all over again, he probably would have gone back and tagged up to go to third base. But you are definitely more cautious when you're tagging up with 1 out than you are with no outs.
Well, still out there in a very good spot for Carlos Gomez, who struck out in the first. Oh, Overton got him at second base. No, he did not. Had him momentarily, but it got loose.
That was a quick, accurate throw. And even with Delino's quickness, that was a quick tag. Just couldn't hang on to the ball.
Freeman almost looked like he never really had it. Kind of swiped it right back out. 1-1 now on Gomez. So an error to Freeman for not completing that pickoff. Second error of the inning charged to the Mariners. Set up in on Gomez. Now 1-2. Well, a somewhat unusual day down here in the desert in that the wind hasn't been a huge factor. Just the slightest of breezes. Making for a very comfortable day, although temperatures up around 90 degrees at game time. Gomez reaches down, lifts this one deep into left field, carrying well, and it is gone. The 2-run shot by Gomez ties this one up at 2.
Well, Carlos struck out the first time up on an assortment of off-speed pitches, and Overton tried to get him on an off-speed pitch right there. And Carlos lunged a little bit early, but he kept his hands back and waited in an important way with his hands back, and still, even though he lunged a little bit, got the good part of the bat on it and has the strength to drive it out of the ballpark, even fooled by the pitch a little bit.
Now the bases are empty for Joey Gallo. Third home run of the spring for Gomez, and now a team-high 9 RBIs. Well, he's had a very nice spring, and really nice to have him back with the club. He was a real nice boost at the end of the regular season last year, and no guarantee that he was going to be back with the Rangers this year. Had offers for multi-year deals with other teams, but instead chose to take a 1-year deal to come back again with the Rangers. Enjoyed his time with Texas last summer and felt like he can go out this year in center field and probably do well enough to earn a much bigger contract this next offseason.
I think he looked at it as the smart decision for his career. And in spite of the fact that short term it may not have been the highest monetary reward for him, for his career and playing wise, it made the most sense. Loved it here, loved the instruction, loved the way he played, and wanted to continue doing it on a good team, a team that has a chance to win, with players he grew to have a lot in common with. Smart move. Sometimes it's not always the most money that makes the best move. It's the decision that helps your career the most.
Gallo hits one high in the air to left. This one may well stay in. Motter is over and takes care of it. But the Rangers even the score. Carlos Gomez. Nice job to stay with it and hit it out of the yard for the third time this spring. We're square at 2. Season Wednesday, April 5th, Rangers and the Indians. You can celebrate the start of baseball season with all the dollar dogs you can eat. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com. 3 innings in the books. Tyler O'Neill leading off the 4th inning for the Mariners. And Eddie Gamboa has done a really nice job. Gamboa with 3 strikeouts so far this afternoon. Settled in after an error behind him in the 1st inning, ended up costing him a little bit. 2-1 the count to O'Neill. Looks a pretty good tempo, and that knuckleball makes it 3-1. Well, you could start to see, Tom, where a guy like Eddie Gamboa could be in consideration to make some starts for the Rangers. I don't know if he makes the rotation opening day, but I think he's in a spot where he at the very least provides you that concept of some depth.
Sure, and he's probably not one of the leading candidates, but it's getting late in spring training and he's still throwing, so you have to say based on that he's still getting a look. But as we've said many times in spring training, it's not necessarily the only opportunity you have whether or not you make the opening day roster. If you make an impression in spring training, it makes it that much more likely that when there's a need during the season, you'll be a strong consideration. The other thing about a knuckleball pitcher, you don't really look at the age or experience of a knuckleball pitcher and say, well, he's getting up in years. Guys like Charlie Huff and Tim Wakefield and Phil Niekro, if you can perfect the knuckleball and you stay in shape, it doesn't make much stress on your arm. You can pitch a long time, way into your 30s and into your 40s if it works for you. So, you look at a kid. He's not a kid like Gamboa. I guess he's around 30 years old, maybe somewhere around there. He's just beginning his knuckleball career. If he starts to perfect it and gets a chance, you can still pitch for a long time. It's a unique pitch. And it's very hard to develop, but he's making pretty good progress with it.
2-1 goes a wish. Bouncer to third. 2 down. 32 years old, and you're the guys right now for the last 2 spots in the rotation. A.J. Griffin's pitched really well, and you're at the point now where you pretty much assume that he's going to be one of those spots. Then Hochschild and G are the 2 leaders behind him.
Yeah, Hochschild's a Rule 5 pick, doesn't have big league experience. Had a little bit of a hiccup in his last outing, but he'll get some more opportunity. And Dylan G has had a lot of starts in the big leagues, has had a pretty solid spring, definitely in the mix, and his experience definitely helps him. Nick Martinez is another guy who's been up and down with the Rangers and has shown some good things. Very unfortunate about Chichi Gonzalez, who had the injury, partially torn ulnar lateral ligament. He's going to be out for at least 3 months, it sounds like. I think he's going to get another opinion and then decide whether he wants to have surgery or more likely have an alternate remedy, stem cell injections, try to avoid surgery and come back in 2 or 3 months. We'll see what happens with him.
And it was that news, really, that opened up this start for Gamboa.
Yeah.
Gets a swing and a miss. Gamboa was supposed to throw in relief in San Antonio this last weekend during Big League Weekend. He was the one guy who did not participate. Of the 37 who went to San Antonio, the one guy who did not see the field. Because when the news came out, it was determined he would start today. This ball bounced sharply up the middle by Freeman. And the Mariners have a base runner in the 4th.
Shortstop number 13, Tyler Smith.
Oh, Chi right now waiting for that second opinion to check in on that UCL on his right elbow, whether or not he'd have to have surgery, maybe fight through it. But you can see something was amiss. You look at the numbers this spring. He was not throwing the ball real well.
I think I called it the ulnar lateral ligament.
I'm with you on that. I'll go with that. You could call it whatever you want, because who would know?
All it takes is one person.
Yeah, well,
all it
true.
takes is one person who's listening. And I think Keith Meister might know if he's listening.
I hope he does. you know, that stuff, that's left to the pros. Long foul ball. Count 0-2 on Tyler Smith.
I believe that Garrett Richards, the excellent starting pitcher for the Angels, had a similar situation and the remedy that avoided surgery, and he appears to be healthy in spring training. I think he had the stem cell injections and maybe some other type of therapy, but he avoided surgery. He didn't want to have the surgery, and he appears to be very healthy now. So maybe there's another way to become healthy and avoid surgery.
Another strikeout for Gamboa, and Jimenez really had to stick with that one.
Turn that into a tough out.
Oh boy. But a scoreless 4th inning for the Mariners. After 3.5, we're tied. Regular season. It's that time. Opening night coming up. Monday, April 3rd. The Indians, we just saw them for a couple of days in San Antonio, a 6:05 game. See the West Division in the National League this year in Interleague, including the Padres, Phillies, Mets, and Marlins all at home. And then every holiday known to man is going to be at home this year. It looks like anyway. Father's Day, Mother's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July. So there'll be plenty of great summer days out at the ballpark in 2017. It's going to be great to put spring training in the rearview mirror soon. That's always one of the big holidays of the year. So get to opening day.
Well, the players and the coaches, most of them have been here since mid-February. It started a little bit earlier because of the World Baseball Classic. And we talked about the days that the coaches spend out here, and the players for that matter. Some of them get here as early as 4 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's here by 6 o'clock in the morning. And when you combine that with the games, the practice, the fundamentals, those are long days. Season's going to seem like a vacation once they get around to starting the regular season.
Casey Fiend on to pitch in this 4th inning for Seattle. As the right-hander takes over for the lefty, Dylan Overton. Overton looked pretty good. Fiend's 1-1. Finds the inside corner for a strike to Ryan Rua. Rua had the base hit in the 2nd inning, eventually was left at 3rd. In fact, the Rangers left a man at 3rd in each of the first 2 innings. It's been a good spring for Rua. So Fiend, pitching with the Mariners this year, last year with the Dodgers. After his run with Minnesota came to an end. He was with the Twins from 2012 into last year. Full count now on Ryan Rua. Came up with the Detroit Tigers back in 09. Free agent signing this offseason. Mariners, of course, I mean, they made more moves than anybody in this offseason, and it's like the 2nd offseason in a row that's been the case. Jerry DiBoto's been working like crazy. Rua with a great swing on this one. High and deep to center, and that is long gone. 2nd bomb of the spring for Ryan Rua. Send him to the bushes.
Yeah, I don't think Ryan is leaving a whole lot of doubt about what his status is going to be on opening day. He's already having an excellent spring coming into this game, and the first time up he ripped a base hit to left field, and that time there was no doubt. It's only a matter of how far that was going to go, and almost got above the grass in dead center field near the plants at the base of the backstop up there, the hitter's eye. That was a long home run. You mentioned it earlier, Dave. It was only a mild breeze, not much of a wind of any kind blowing out, so he supplied the power for that rope.
Middlebrooks with a rifle shot to Smith at short. The first out of the inning.
Second baseman, number 68.
That's a nice compact swing, the follow through, and when you see a guy follow, it's like a golfer making a shot that's right on the flag, posing for it. Ryan knew he made excellent contact with that. And even though it's over 400 feet to center field, he had a pretty good idea where that one was going to end up.
Robinson. Those kids out there on the hill very nearly tweaked the catch probability of that ball. That guy could take a pretty good, yeah, he took a pretty good route. He trampled the flowers. Nobody will say anything to him. 1-1 the count to Drew Robinson. An impressive home run by Rua. Carlos Gomez had the 2-run blast in the 3rd inning. And so for the first time today, the Rangers working with the lead. And it's 2-1 to Drew Robinson. Robinson had held the team lead in home runs until Gomez's shot. Let's work the count to his favor here, 3-1. Robinson was a 4th-round pick by the Rangers, 2010, out of Silverado High School in Las Vegas. He really, I think, kind of got the attention of the Rangers front office when he showed great interest in playing winter ball this year. He played in the Dominican, he played in Venezuela. The last couple of years, we've seen a pretty significant uptick in his power production in the minor leagues. 21 home runs 2 years ago in Frisco. Last year, 20 home runs in Round Rock. And he's always been a real high on-base guy. 350, 360 the last couple of years, so there's a lot there to like, a lot to work with. They do play him to pull. 3 infielders on the right side. It's another very deep count for Drew Robinson. Look at guys like Shin-Soo Choo and Mike Napoli in the batting order, who are among the best in the business at making pitchers work. And then you got a youngster like Robinson coming along. You throw him in the mix, you could wear out some guys.
Yeah, and Delano's been that kind of a guy in spring training too.
Another 3-2. This time Fiend rushes it past him. Robinson strikes out, 2 away in the 4th inning.
Catcher number 79, AT
A.J. Jimenez. Originally drafted by the Blue Jays. Has always been regarded as a very good defensive catcher. Great arm, works well with pitchers, good at blocking. Defensively, about as all you could ask. 1-1 the count. Question is, can he hit? He hit big league pitching. Today he's showing us he can catch a knuckleball, crying out loud. He's done a nice job back there. And a hole 1-2. Fiend on for Dylan Overton, who went 3 innings. The 2 runs Overton allowed were both unearned. 3 hits and 4 strikeouts charged to Overton. And Jimenez serves this one into left field, a base hit. So a 2-out single. The Rangers catcher.
Shortstop number 63, Doug Bernier.
Moves that line and gets Doug Bernier to the plate. Bernier went down swinging in the 3rd inning, 0 for 1 this afternoon. It's much like Robinson, who we saw earlier this inning. Bernier giving all kinds of flexibility defensively to the Rangers, however they'd like to use him. That more and more has become a very coveted position or type player in Major League Baseball, the super utility guy.
Well, most teams like to keep as many pitchers as they can, so you have enough bullpen pitchers to get you through a season without having to try to minimize the amount of times you have to go back and forth to the minor leagues. So those guys who can play a lot of positions have become very valuable.
Bernier down swinging in the 4th inning, but the Rangers, for the first time today, take the lead. Ryan Rua with a big boy bomb to center field. 3-2 Rangers. To surprise Arizona, where the Rangers, for the first time today, lead. This time by a run. We welcome you into the booth. Great to be with you. Dave Raymond, Tom Grieve. Tom, Eddie Gamboa today. We've seen a couple of big home runs for the Rangers, but Eddie Gamboa has been really good on the mound.
Yeah, and you know, coming into the ball game, I don't know whether when we talked about the candidates to be the 4th and 5th starters, whether he would be at the top of that list. But, you know, it's getting toward the end part of spring training. He's still starting in a ball game. He's got a chance. He's back out there now. He's got a chance to pitch 5 innings today. And he still has a chance to make an impression. And as we mentioned earlier, it's not only whether you make enough of an impression to make the opening day roster. There's a lot of games to be played, 162 of them, and throughout those 162, there's plenty of times where you look for a starter, you look for a reliever, and the better the impression you leave in spring training, better chance you've got to break with the team, number one, but also the better chance you've got of being one of the first guys that's called up if you're playing or pitching well in the minor leagues when the need arises, and the need always arises.
Sharp bouncer up the middle, but positioned perfectly. Robinson is there to get rid of Heredia. 1 out in the 5th inning. Yes, that need always arises. I was looking back to last year. I think it was 11 starters that the Rangers used during the regular season. And that's not atypical. I mean, it doesn't make the Rangers last year unusual at all.
No.
This has kind of become the norm. Here's Tyler Modern. That was some pretty good speed. 1 for 2 today. And he takes a strike from Gamboa. Of course, it's the 3rd time now that Mariners hitters are getting to look at Gamboa. Not that there are a lot of secrets. I mean, he's throwing a lot of knuckleballs.
Yeah, I would guess that the knuckleball pitchers, and there haven't been many of them, but the knuckleball pitchers, when you look at what batters hit against them the 2nd time, 3rd time, 4th time around the order for the good starting pitchers who have been knuckleball pitchers, it really doesn't make much of a difference. It's not like you're going to lose a little bit on your fastball or you can get a good look at the curveball. Guy that's throwing hard, okay, I've seen him twice, I'll time it. With a knuckleball, as you said, Dave, there's no secret. You know it's coming most of the time, 75%, 80% of the time. But if it knuckles, you're still not going to have a great time trying to hit it. That one stayed up a little bit. It moved a little bit, but didn't drop down, and he was able to get the bat on it. And I guess as a hitter, that's what you hope when you face a knuckleball pitcher. You get one that doesn't knuckle, that stays straight. Then it becomes more like a batting practice pitch. But if it dances around, it's not predictable. And so you don't really gain any advantage by getting several at-bats against it because so many of them look different every time you throw them.
Now, I assume that you would have faced a few knuckleballers in your day.
I faced Wilbur Wood.
Oh, yeah.
For the White Sox. Wilbur Wood once started both games of a doubleheader, which shows you that it doesn't take a whole lot out of your arm. I think he had a season where he won 20 games, or more than 20 games, and lost 20 games. Not sure how many starts he would have had that year. But he was an excellent knuckleball pitcher. Some people have the theory that you stand up in the box. Other people are uncomfortable doing that. They take their normal stance in the normal position they take it. But I don't know that there's any set way to hit a knuckleball other than going up there and hoping that when it's your turn to hit, you don't get one that really dances all over the place, because whether you're a Hall of Famer or an average player, hitting that pitch is equally hard, and even good hitters come out unsuccessful when the knuckleball is really dancing. See a lot of frustrated swings and shaking the head when you're going back to the dugout.
There's a bad swing by Haniger.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. Another strikeout for Gamboa. 6th of the afternoon. And he'll face Danny Valencia. So
see that one, we showed the one where the base hit was struck into left field that stayed up. That one, at the same point in time when the hitter started to swing, dropped down 6 or 8 inches, and he swung over the top of it.
To follow up on the point you're making about Wilbur Wood, 1973 went 24-20, made 48 starts.
Wow.
Through 359 innings.
That's pretty safe to say you're not going to see that line very much in the future of baseball. Wilbur Wood went to Belmont High School in Boston, outside of Boston, and beat my high school before I was in high school, Pittsfield High School, 1-0 or 2-1 maybe in extra innings in the state championship game back in somewhere around 1960.
Runner going. Motter is in there ahead of the throw with a stolen base.
Now, at the time, he was a traditional pitcher, fastball, curveball, but he didn't throw very hard. His career was not headed in the right direction, and he developed the knuckleball and made himself a lot of money, won a lot of ball games for the White Sox. Heavy-set guy, did not look great in the shorts that the White Sox wore that one year. Shirts with a collar with the shorts.
Not many did,
tough,
though.
No, tough look for anybody, but.
Long throw across the diamond for Middlebrooks. And they get Valencia to end the inning. Motter left at second base. Halfway there this afternoon. 3-2 Rangers. You can see Eddie Gamboa getting the fist bumps. Nice day. More than likely done. Seems pretty clear. 5 innings. Gave up a couple of runs. Those came in the first inning, and it started with an error behind him. Well, a pretty nice job. Now, this inning, we'll see Delano DeShields leading it off. We talked in the open tag. You talked about the guys still in the battle for those outfield spots. He's done himself well again today.
He definitely has. I think there's been some years where he would have come to spring training with this kind of a spring, and instead of us talking about him battling for a spot on the roster, he'd be battling a spot and have the inside track to a starting position. That happened for him a couple of years ago. But right now, Jurickson hasn't been here, but for the Netherlands in the WBC, he's played great. Ryan Rua has played great. And the way Delino's played, he's played well enough to earn himself playing time too. And you know, whether it's in left field, good luck on that one.
Zaczynski tries to option it to first, but not in time. The Shield's on with a bunt single, his second hit of the day.
And he just keeps doing the kind of things he has to do to be the player that he can be. And that's a guy that gets on base and utilizes his speed. And he's done it this spring by walking. There's another way he can do it with a bunt. I mean, that's a good bunt, but for most of us, we're thrown out at first base by 4 or 5 feet on that. Pitcher got over and got it, and once he got it, nothing he could do because Delino was flying down the line to beat that play out. So now you've got the leadoff hitter on with his speed, making things happen. So, you know, whether or not he's competing against Rua and Profar in left field, he's also got an opportunity. Carlos Gomez is not going to play 162 games, and on the days he doesn't play, where he gets a rest, Delino certainly has shown that he's played there before, and the way he's playing right now, he's earned the right to get a lot of playing time around the diamond. Pinch runner late in the ball game. So many ways that a guy with speed that can help you win games. It's been pretty evident here through the first 50 or 60% of spring training.
Saw the numbers there for the left-hander Mark Zaczynski, who's come on in relief for the Mariners. Last year, Zaczynski spent time with both the Oakland A's and the Washington Nationals. And would figure to be the primary lefty out of the bullpen for the Mariners this year. So good chance here for Chu to get that sort of stress-free work against a tough lefty in a spring training game. Two hitless so far today. And the 2-strike pitch. He'll serve this one over short. That's a base hit. Good start for the Shields. He's heading to third, and they won't even offer a throw.
If they threw it to third base, he could have kept on going and scored before they relayed the ball back home. Talk about flying around second base. Delino, as we've already said, you don't want to wear it out. You know, he's lost some weight. He was fast last year. He's even quicker and faster this year. You could just see it on the bunt. You could see it on the jump he got on a stolen base and going first to third right there. Going around second base, you could really see how evident that quickness is. More quickness is right now. Nice job of Chu. When Chu's playing well, when he's having those kind of months like he did 2 years ago in September, that's what he's doing. He's lining the ball all over the field, taking the ball the other way. Against left-handed pitchers, he likes to do that. And that was a rope that he hit.
Snyder comes on to pinch run for Chu, so Chu's day is done. Snyder will take over. Now the 1-0 pitch to Gomez, and he'll shoot it the other way foul. Carlos had the 2-run homer in the third inning. That was his third long ball this spring. So he continues to swing a very good bat down here in Arizona. For the first time really today, the Rangers setting up for what could be a big inning. And on the corners, nobody out. In the early innings, they were getting runners on, but late in the inning with 2 out. Shields has been on all 3 times. Snyder now pinch running over at first. The 2-1. Gomez, a guy who is just loaded with talent. Had several stops in the big leagues. Minnesota, Milwaukee, Houston, Texas. Well, as we talked about a little earlier, there seems to be a certain comfort level with his role, expectations, etc. with the Rangers, and he has slotted in quite well. 2-2 from Zipchenski, and he got him swinging. That's the first out of the inning. And another interesting lefty on lefty coming up.
That was a good pitch by Zipchenski. Good hard slider, cut fastball down and in.
So here's Gallo. The strikeout of the first, the fly out in the third. They almost got that ball in the third inning, went very deep to left field. Trying to go the opposite way. Mentioned earlier, the last 7 games, 7 for 19 with 6 runs batted in. So, and he's taken some swings today. I tell you that he's feeling pretty comfortable. 1-1 the count.
Now that's a name. That name wouldn't fit on the back of a little guy. You have to be a pretty big guy with wide shoulders to fit that name in. I've been informed that his nickname, Scrabble.
There you go. That's fitting. I think he'd be a good battery mate with A.J. Pierzynski. Get those two going.
That'd be a beauty.
The best is when these guys come up, guys like Zipchenski, and he's been around for a little while now. But when they come up initially, boy, oh boy, like Grzelcyk, when he came up, it just ties up a lot of folks as Gallo chases one in the dirt. Back-to-back strikeouts for Zipchenski.
Pitch hitting number 67, Ronald Guzman.
Ronald Guzman is going to get an opportunity to hit. He's probably wishing that he maybe came into the game in the next inning and got to face a right-hand hitter instead of facing the lefty specialist who has had a big league job for quite a while now because of his ability to come in and be a successful pitcher against left-hand hitters.
Yeah, tough spot here for the big first baseman. Pinch hitting for Ryan Rua. Now he hit a home run yesterday as well, Guzman.
Yeah, I think he did.
As Gallo hit a big fly, and Guzman's been showing some power. And here's a guy who a lot of folks think like he might be big league bound this year at some point. 6'4", 225 pounds. Last year AA and AAA. Very good defensive first baseman.
He was a highly touted kid, signed for a ton of money. Then struggled a little bit, was actually taken off the big league, not put on the big league roster for 1 year, but he's played himself back into being a solid prospect. So at the upper levels of the minor leagues, he's kind of put himself in position where if he gets to the minor leagues and puts together a good streak, he might be in position to be a big leaguer.
Snyder moving and gets to second base without a throw. The ball dropped. The pitch rather dropped. It goes a whiz. 2-1 the count on Guzman.
Guzman is definitely a physical specimen. He's about 6'7". Looks like he could have been a tight end. He's put on a lot of very functional weight. He hasn't put on weight and looks sloppy. He's put on weight and looks like a man now, boy. Big, strong kid. Be interesting to see if he develops into a frontline kind of player.
Just 22 years old. It's 2-2.
Joey Gallo said it the other day, was quoted in the papers as saying, you know, when you're a young player, highly touted, high draft choice, you get a lot of money to sign, so much is expected, the expectations are so high to do it so quickly that sometimes they're unrealistic, and you can become a really good big league player without doing it at age 21, 22, 23, 24. It can happen in your mid-20s or late 20s like Nelly Cruz. There's no specific timetable, but so much pressure is placed on the young kids who are highly touted to do it right now that it makes it very difficult for them emotionally, mentally, to live up to that hype. Joey made it sound like he's just kind of getting his hands around that now and learning to tune that out and just concentrating on being the best player he can be every day and satisfying his own expectations and not worrying about the expectations of others.
Game's tough enough as it is.
It is, and it's hard to block that out. You know, you pick up social media, the internet, the newspaper, wherever you go to get your news, and you read what a great player and a great prospect you are and how quickly you're supposed to do it at the big league level. You do have to tune that out because it does create sometimes unrealistic expectations.
Guzman rolls out to second to end the threat in the 5th inning. We'll go to the 6th in a 1-run game. Here in Surprise, Arizona, 3-2 Rangers leading the Mariners as we go to the 6th inning, and we welcome in Eddie Gamboa joining us down at the dugout on the headsets. Eddie, 5 excellent innings today out of the mound. Congratulations on a real nice outing. How have you felt about your spring?
You know, I've been feeling really well. This team is unbelievable. They did an amazing job with me, treated me just like family, and you know, you got a great group of guys, and just want to participate in any way possible.
Eddie, there's not a lot of knuckleball pitchers. It's almost an impossible pitch to develop. How did you develop it, and what were the circumstances around it?
Well, Phil Niekro was my first help that really made me buy into it, and I was very fortunate. It was one of probably the best things I've ever done was to really buy in and take it in. It's given me a lot of wonderful opportunities, and I've met a lot of great people with it. So, you know, he kind of really sold me into it, and you know, I'm still learning with this pitch.
So when you're in camp now, who do you go to for help? Who do you tinker with on that pitch?
That's a good question. Well, everybody's really just open-minded about it, you know. So Broke is just really taking it in, and I tell him kind of a couple things to really look for. But Gino was also a guy who caught Charlie Huff, you know, for most of his career. So he has a couple things that he could look at and look for and recommend. And no, it's been great. You know, a lot of help. You know, I'm very fortunate, and just, you know, really just trying to simplify it, have everything go towards home plate, and try to throw strikes.
Eddie, what were your expectations coming into camp? You know, right now it appears there might be a couple of spots open in the starting rotation, but coming into camp, what were your expectations, and how do you feel about the way you've pitched and what it's done for you so far in spring training?
You know, coming into camp, you always want a job. You know, you come in here with the idea of being a part of the 12-13 that break to the big league club.
Sure.
So that was the idea for me, taking this off season off and really focusing on just mechanical things, try to simplify everything. And I got a lot of help. I got a lot of help with that. I've been able to talk to Stephen Wright, R.A. Dickey, Wakefield, so obviously Charlie Huff and Negro. So I've been very fortunate with that aspect. And, just everybody has something different, and you can kind of pick and choose things that will work for you. And I've been able to do that.
We had a great opportunity to watch Charlie Huff here for a long time, and one of the things we used to marvel at was his ability to change speeds with his knuckleball. He threw one that was like a changeup. He threw a hard one. Do you work on different speeds as well?
I do. I have a medium one, which is probably anywhere from 68, 72. I'll have a harder one that's 74 to 80, and then obviously that a little floater that's anywhere from 60 to 65. Those are tough. A lot of guys like it, but it's one of those pitches where, you could get embarrassed throwing something up there that slow, and you don't know what it's gonna do.
Yeah, but that's below hitter speed, right?
Right. That's a really good point. It's below hitter speed, and so that's what makes it effective. Not so much having it move, but just kind of changing speeds with it. So. Again, something I'm working on with that. I think I did a couple of those at Valencia today, and he's a great hitter. So, survived it.
The other thing that Charlie used to talk about, and Dave talked about it earlier in the broadcast, was a knuckleballer's ability to hold runners at first base. Your not only your pickoff move, but how quickly you throw the ball to the plate. Is that something you also concentrate on?
I've always concentrated on that ever since I was a pitcher, which was probably in college. But before that, I was a shortstop, and I took pride in taking ground balls and really just trying to be as fluid as possible, although I can't dance for anything. So, but really.
Don't worry, we can't either.
Yeah, no, really working on my feet, having a short arm, and just trying to, there's outs on the bases, and you got to take advantage of it and not be afraid. So I've been, very, very lucky to have that. I still have some kind of arm strength, so I could get it to first pretty quick. And it's been a lot of fun working on a couple things here and there, but really just holding runners. And just try to give my catcher a chance to throw somebody out.
Well, that's the last thing I was going to touch on is your catcher. And A.J. Jimenez, he's not done a lot of it in the past. He said he'd cut you once in a bullpen, but that's another big piece of it for you, right? Is finding that guy who's comfortable handling your pitches.
Absolutely. That's a huge part of it. And again, with this organization, they have such great catchers here, and I think almost everybody has caught me, so they've all done an amazing job with it and throwing out runners with the knuckleball. I get upset sometimes when they do it, actually, because I'm thinking the ball's not doing a damn thing. So, but no, they catch it, they throw guys out, and just like I said, having a great time out here with the guys.
Eddie, delightful to watch you today. Really a lot of fun, and thanks so much for taking a little time and chatting with us as well.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you're welcome.
Eddie Gamboa, excellent outing today. Now that kid can dance. We got to get Eddie on the monitor. That's what you need to do. 3-2 Rangers. Tom, but I'm not sure, is she keeping up with all the substitutions in her book?
If she is, she's ahead of me right now. I gotta make a comeback here trying to find them out.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Now, she did have these strikeouts recorded accurately in the book. We did get a glimpse of that. Eddie Gamboa, pretty good today.
Oh, when you look at the strikeouts, you look at the knuckleball and the way it moves. Some of them have moved straight down like that one. That one moved down and away. One of them before moved kind of in on the hitter. So it was a pretty good dancing knuckleball today, dancing in a number of different directions. Not all of them, but a lot of them did. Certainly well enough that Eddie pitched 5 innings, didn't give up an earned run, and had a bunch of strikeouts to go along with it. So fun watching him today, and even more fun interviewing him.
I should say, what a great conversationalist. To find out what he's doing for dinner tonight. Well, bottom of the 6th inning, and Nick Hagedorn has come on in relief. You see, last year with the Indians, or pardon me, 2 years ago with the Indians, ERA a little above 4. The left-hander who has a good deal of big league time under his belt. Mariners are going to have some depth and some options in their bullpen this year. At least it would appear. Taekwon Forbes came in to play third base last half inning. And he'll send this one out into right field. Base hit for Forbes.
Yeah, Taekwon was a high draft choice, young minor leaguer, great body, big strong kid, trying to work his way up through the minor leagues. Feel pretty good about lining that base hit to right field against a big league pitcher.
Well, another base runner. Rangers have had them all over the bases today. They have stranded 5 through 5 innings. And a great number of them in scoring position, but they do work with a 1-run lead. Drew Robinson 0 for 2 today at the plate. He's one of the few starters who remain in the game. There's a lot of defensive changes last half inning for the Rangers, including Matt Bush. By the way, we missed Matt Bush's pitching a little bit there. You got to see it. A couple of strikeouts in his clean 6th inning. Robinson with a high fly ball. Carries a little bit, but handled out there by Heredia for out number 1.
A good swing right there. Just got underneath it a little bit. Hit the good part of the bat. You can tell by the sound of it. Just didn't quite center it.
A.J. Jimenez 1 for 2. Had a nice base hit his last time up. Right-handed batter with a man at first. Hagedorn just under 90 miles per hour with that fastball. Hagedorn came up with the Cleveland Indians in 2011. And pitched each of the next 5 years out of the bullpen with the Indians. Last year, though, missed the 2016 season. He was coming back from a fractured left elbow. He had surgery to repair the elbow and had to sit out the entire season. Now this one hit into left field, a base hit for Jimenez. Went down and got that one. So a couple of hits in the inning for the Rangers. 2 base runners against Hagedorn.
A second line drive hit to left field for Jimenez today. Doing a nice job behind the plate, swinging the bat a little bit too.
Pinch running at first base, Royce Bollinger.
Well, Royce Bollinger pinch runs for Jimenez. And Doug Bernier will bat with a couple of men on. And a chance here to for Doug to maybe end his day. I would suspect he's getting toward the end of his work today, but maybe to end it on a real up note with a couple of base runners out there. He was struck out the first 2 times in, but could deliver a pretty big hit in this spot. His first strikeout came at the hands of Dylan Overton, and Casey Fiend got him the next time. After Overton's 3 innings, it's been Fiend, Zipchinski, and now Hagedon, all with single innings in relief. That is to say, if Hagedon can get through the 6th. And pours one right in there. It's 1-1. We talked a lot about the battles for those last spots in the rotation, maybe the last couple of spots on the bench, and Bernier still in that battle for a spot. He's going to need to see some offense. See, this one into short center field, and Heredia stalks it down 2 away. Top of the order now.
Center fielder, number 90, Leo Taveras.
Yeah, a lot for Jeff Bannister and the rest of his staff, John Daniels and the baseball operations, to sort out in these last couple weeks, about 2 weeks away from getting started. Leody Taveras in here is one of the really young and super bright spots in the minor league system for the Rangers. This guy is a future big league center fielder. All kinds of talent, great speed. He's the cousin of Willie Taveras, who played several years with the Houston Astros. Willie was not a bad player, but what they say, Leody faster, it's hard to believe, a better hitter. And it's 1-1. Leody just 18 years old. Very good arm in the outfield, a switch hitter. A couple of base runners out there for him. On the count now 1-2. But a name you'll want to remember, keep track of, because it will not be long. That's one of the reasons I think the Rangers were comfortable with some of these short-term contracts in the outfield, as they feel like it's like Leody on their way quickly. 1-2 pitch, and he went around. So a strikeout ends the 6th inning. Rangers leave a couple more men on base, and we'll go to the 7th in a 1-run game. but then here's a tip. Bring them to a Rangers game. Save big on tickets when you bring 20 or more people. Be the hero who saved big and brought everyone to see the Rangers play. See how to make it happen at TexasRangers.com/groups. Oh, consider that a public service announcement. Whoa, Tag, how do you get those seats through the game? That's awesome right there. Looks like the shade might have moved a tad bit on him, but there.
I don't think they're provided. I think you must have to bring those with you.
Tough when you're moving down the aisle. Get your seat. Maybe that's how they ended up out there on the grassy berm. Well, we get going now in the 7th inning. Mike Freeman, 1 for 2 today with a base hit. And Matt Bush going to throw a 2nd inning. Bush struck out 2 in a perfect 6th inning. Stretching him just a little bit here this afternoon. See if they can get 2 innings out of him. 2-0 pitch lifted down that left field line. Long run out there and tracked down by Puello. 1 away.
And one of the things Jeff Bannister said is he wants his guys in the bullpen to be able to throw more than 1 inning. To be able to throw, you know, probably not 3 innings, but at least throw a couple of innings, whether it's Bush, Jeffress, Barnett. Claudio shows that has shown he can do that, pitch multiple innings in the past. In case there's not the traditional long man, the guy that could come into a ball game in a blowout, for instance, and early in a game and have to throw 5 or 6 innings, 4 or 5 innings. If you don't have that guy, then it's important for the guys that you do have out there to be more than 1 inning pitchers. I think that's the thought behind Matt pitching 2 innings today. Barnett pitched a couple of innings the other day in a camp game over the minor league camp. I think all of them will do that before spring training is over, just to be ready for that opportunity if it comes during the season.
4 up, 4 down so far today for Bush. And this one out of play makes it 2-1. In San Antonio, we saw Tyler Wagner go 3 scoreless on Friday. And yesterday, Alan Webster almost got through 3 innings. Brady Bregmeyer pitched an inning in the 3rd. So we are seeing a lot of the relievers get the chance to throw more than 1 inning anyway. 1 the count. In spring training, get guys stretched out, then you rein it back in again. And that's the thing with starters. So most of them have about 2 starts left where they'll, get it pushed out close to 95 pitches, that kind of thing. And then they'll have 1 where they rein it back in again. And maybe make it a 60, 70 pitch outing before they head into the regular season. Full count now here for Bush against Tyler Smith, 9th place hitter, who has struck out both times in this afternoon. A 1-run Rangers lead. This one popped up right side of the infield. Guzman called off by Tejada. 2 away.
Center fielder number 5, Guillermo Heredia.
That brings up Guillermo Heredia. Well, Bush coming off just an incredible rookie campaign last year. There's so many moments that stand out from last season, and one of them was right about this time of year when he pitched in his first spring training game, his first major league spring training game, and absolutely blew the doors off everybody. His fastball and his good breaking ball, a little roller second base. And Heredia retired to complete a 1-2-3 inning for Matt Bush, so very good in his 2 innings of relief. We'll stand and stretch in a 1-run game. Show is coming up Friday, April 7th, presented by TXU Energy. Watch as the night skies light up and revel in the start of the baseball season. Get your tickets for Friday, April 7th. And the A's take on the Rangers at TexasRangers.com. Time for the bottom of the 7th. Travis Snyder will lead things off. Another good crowd on a gorgeous day today down here in Surprise. Lots of sunshine. Earlier, a little bit of a breeze. Right now, very still. You just don't see that very often around here. Nobody wake up the flags. Hagedon in a second inning in relief, and the left-hander's 1-0. So Overton had to start with 3 then. Fiends, Epchinski, and now Hagedon. Snyder came in a pinch run and gets his first hacks of the afternoon. Pop on that fastball, finds the outside corner, 2-1 the count. Both teams have pretty much turned over every position on the diamond now at this point. We'll have to check in with that gal downstairs who's keeping a book. See if she's got all of them for us. The greatest challenge of spring training, honestly, stand up with all that stuff. That's why I like having you in the booth, Hank, because I can just peek off your scorebook.
I'm getting there. I'm still not complete yet. It'd be easier if they had numbers on the front of their jersey as well.
I agree. Full count. The best is when you're in a ballpark, and they do a really good job at most of these ballparks. I mean, a really incredible job when you think about it, of using the scoreboard and getting the new guys up on the scoreboard as they come to bat. But there are many occasions where you look up there and it's just the big team logo. You know, like, yeah, they're scrambling too. Will pop up left side of the infield. And handled right near the third base bag by Shank.
Pitch hitting for the Rangers, number 31, Jeremy.
Well, the offense today has come on home runs for the Rangers. Carlos Gomez in the third. I mean, he had to go down and get that one, and it really carried for him. And then later, Ryan Rua, and there was no doubt about that one. And that's it. That's the offense today. Jared Hoying pinch hitting here for Gomez, and he takes a strike. And Hoying, one of those guys. We'll start talking about all the versatile players, and again, maybe well, clearly a lot of these guys aren't going to break camp with the big club on the 25-man roster, but folks that we will see over the course of the summer. Put Hoying right in that category. The spring a .258 average for Jared with a couple of home runs, but he takes strike 3. It's 2 up, 2 down in the 7th inning for Hagedon. Oh, left-hander's done a nice job here in relief. Gave up a couple of hits in the 6th inning. Strikeouts though. And Cesar Puello yesterday almost got down to the knee, a la Adrian Beltre. And Puello with that big home run, that was in the 2nd inning, a 3-run shot yesterday. Rangers would end up scoring 8. Puello's first at bat this afternoon. He came in defensively for Gallo. A high strike there makes it 0-2. So yeah, a lot of the scoring happened early. Seattle with a couple of unearned runs in the 1st. Rangers answered with 2 unearned runs in the 3rd. And then the Rua homer in the 4th inning. The difference right now, 1-2 to Puello. Tomorrow, Nick Martinez will start for the Rangers. So square off against the San Diego Padres and Clayton Richard. And for Nick Martinez, that is going to be a very big start for him. He's had a tough go of it this spring.
Yeah, Nick is healthy. His stuff is fine. He's just looking for results now. He just has to make some pitches a little more accurate within the strike zone. The stuff, the ability is there. It's just a matter of going out and executing his pitches the way he's capable of doing.
How distracting do you suppose it is for guys too? No, you'd see like Eddie Gamboa start today. I wonder if that registers with a guy like Nick.
Oh, believe me, everything registers when there's opportunity in the name of a couple of positions in the rotation and a number of candidates. I think you're aware of everything around you and everything about your performance, and every time you pitch is very important.
Nice play by Shank down at third. Rangers go quietly as we head to the 8th. Leading by a run as we head to the 8th inning. Guy's been busy today, dancing, eating an icy. Cincinnati coming in the future. Matt Bush joining us down in the dugout, and we really appreciate you taking a little time with us, Matt, after 2 scoreless innings, 2 perfect innings today in relief for you. Obviously a very good appearance today for you. How you feel this spring?
I've been feeling pretty good. You know, it's first spring training after a full season in the major leagues, or most full seasons, so a little bit different for me, but body's responding well, arms responding well, so I'm happy where I am.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, Matt, that this year's a lot different coming to spring training than last year, but what are some of the differences, and what was your mindset coming into spring training this year compared to last year when you weren't on the big league roster?
This year trying to mostly get myself ready for opening day, and not trying to come out right away and trying to impress everyone, trying to make the team. Really just trying to get my arm ready for opening day, trying to get my body ready for the long season and that long grind.
Yeah, I was just looking back to the scoreboard, or scorebook rather, and we're still not quite to a full year since we saw you here against the Cubs in a spring training game, which was a big moment. I mean, that was a big day. You delighted the fans and everyone watching that day. Hard to believe everything that has transpired in less than a calendar year. Does it feel longer to you? Does it feel like it's been 2 years or anything like that to you?
No, not at all. Last year went by very quickly, and just trying to slow some things down this off season and kind of let everything set in, and think about how I got there, and how I was able to have some success, and just to be able to take these thoughts into this year and build on it.
Matt, Jeff Bannister has said that he wants his bullpen guys to be able to throw multiple innings, at least a couple of innings. And obviously you breezed through 2 innings today. You've done it before. But is that something that you're comfortable with, pitching more than 1 inning?
Yeah, of course. Gotta be able to go out there, myself and be able to compete. If it's 2 innings, that we need, then it's 2 innings that I'm going to give, and I'm going to give it my all, and get ready to go out there the next time. It's major leagues. It's very good to be out on the field. So I never complain about going out there in an extra inning. That's for sure.
Last year, we saw your fastball and your curveball in that first spring training game. By the time you joined us in the big leagues, you were throwing that slider real effectively. Have you added much to the repertoire? Do you tinker much with that, or do you feel pretty comfortable with what you have and just keep working to gain consistency with everything?
There's no need to fix anything from last year. Had all my pitches working and just trying to continue to get it ready again and throw the same stuff I had at them last year, and focus on executing, focus on location. I don't think I need to add anything or subtract anything. Just continue to focus on my location and executing my pitches.
Well, I mean, I can hardly disagree with that. I just know sometimes you guys get a little, get a little froggy out there, get a little bored, so they start messing around with one thing or another. Who keeps it light out there for you?
Barnett. Yeah, he's always making me laugh. Been playing catch with him since Dyson's away. He was his partner, so been playing catch with him lately, and it's always a lot of fun. He keeps it light, and it's great to have guys like that around.
Yeah, important role, man. Very important role. Hey, nice job today. 2 perfect innings in relief, and as always, thanks for the time, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, Matt Bush, another excellent effort today. Keone Kela trying to follow up as well as he issues a walk to Schenk. And we'll deal with his first base runner.
Dave, before we get any further in this game, I have a person that I need to mention today. Elizabeth Sullivan was a math teacher at Pasco High School, and she tutored math students well into her 90s. Today, she's 106 years old. One of the Rangers' biggest fans, longtime pen pal of mine, one of my favorite Ranger fans. She had a birthday party today. I think she's home now. Elizabeth, I think you're home. I hope you're home. I hope you're watching. And please accept our birthday wishes from the Texas Rangers and for many more. And hope to see you out at the ballpark. Elizabeth threw out the first pitch last year. And hopefully we'll see her out there again this year. So happy birthday, Elizabeth.
Make sure she gets all 5 Dr. Peppers in today, right? I mean, that was, as I recall, that was the key. Well, plenty of Dr. Pepper.
She said she's been drinking Dr. Pepper for a long time. She has several a day. She's had doctors over the years that have advised her against drinking so much Dr. Pepper. But she informs us that most of those doctors are gone, and she's still here. And so she'll keep on doing what she's been doing for 106 years. And one of the great lines that we've heard from Elizabeth.
Oh, very well said. Doug Brocail out to have a word with Keone Kela, who came on in this 8th inning. Got a ground ball, a fly ball out, a walk to Schenk. Broke. Maybe picked a little something up, and he can pass on. It's been just a brilliant spring for Keone Kela. A lot of guys out of the bullpen who have thrown the ball real well this spring, and Kela right there at the top of the list. Pretty excited to come in healthy at the beginning of spring. With last season under the belt, and he's been dealing. In the A games, just a couple of A games, but then also in the B games, his 3-0 pitch, and he grooves it for strike 1. We saw Matt Bush in the previous 2 innings, one of the great power arms right now in the American League. Kela right there with him. So much power out of this Rangers bullpen as the runner goes. Gamble hits one high and deep out into left field, but that one tracked down by Cesar Puello to end the inning, and the Mariners leave a man. Bottom of the 8th inning coming up, Rangers by 1. By a run, bottom of the 8th coming up is Gene Machi will come on and pitch for the Mariners. Great to have you with us today, Dave Raymond, Tom Grieve, and we've seen some good pitching today. Eddie Gamboa, the great start. We talked about that earlier. Now Bush and Kayla out of the bullpen. Boy, everything according to plan today.
Well, Jeff Bannister wanted to stretch his bullpen guys out a couple of innings. Matt Bush breezed through 2 innings. He makes it look so easy. He's getting the ball up to the plate at 94 to 98 miles an hour with that hard slider. That was a pitch up and in that the batter actually swung at. But he breezed through 2 innings, had a couple of strikeouts, didn't give up a base runner, and looked like he's in mid-season form right now. So that was nice to see. And Keone trying to finish up the same way with a couple of innings of his own.
Well, this will get Banny in a good mood. His pitchers have all done well so far. Now, Guzman leading off the 8th inning against Machi. Turns it sharply foul. Guzman pitch hit in the 5th inning, grounded out to second. You look at the numbers for Machi. Pretty good numbers all the way around. Last year in the minor leagues. And Guzman sends it slowly up the middle. Backhand stop, and the true throw to first. Ringfo is enough to get Guzman one away.
Third baseman, number 93, Taiwan Forbes.
So 1 out. Last base runner the Rangers had was in the 6th inning. It was the A.J. Jimenez base hit. Pitching has been the story today for both teams. High fly ball, short right field, and that one tracked down by Ben Gamble, who moved over from left a moment ago. His first defensive opportunity.
Second baseman, number 92.
So 2 quick outs. Anderson Tejada, guy who last year in the minor leagues turned some heads. He kind of played himself into prospect status last season. And his first at bat today. Bottom of the 8th inning and a 1-run game. Tomorrow, Rangers and Padres. Machi, a big-bodied right-hander. This one shanked foul. Make the count 2-1. Pretty good velocity, 92 miles per hour for Machi. And he runs it full. Well, Tejada this spring, Rangers have used 100 players in A games. 0 for 2 at the plate. I mean, he gets a pretty good piece of this one high in the air out to right field. Gamble, though, has room and survives it. It's a 1-2-3 bottom of the 8th inning. Sends us to the 9th. Rangers holding on to the 1-run lead. April 8th. First 15,000 fans 14 and older will take home a TXU Energy Rangers lightweight jacket. Enjoy spring training baseball, or spring baseball rather, in style. The Rangers and the A's for real. Get your tickets April 8th, TexasRangers.com. As Kella will go for 2 innings in relief today himself, just as Matt Bush did. A 2-strike pitch. O'Neill fouls it back out of play. Kella walked 1 in the 8th inning. It's just 1 over the minimum. Mentioned earlier, O'Neill is the youngest player in the AA Southern League last year. And he was a league MVP. Goes down swinging to start the 9th inning, though.
Catcher number 10, Evan Ashley.
So Eddie Gamboa today kind of stole the spotlight. 5 very good innings as a start. Bush 2 scoreless. Now Kella.
Kella's got a lot of different ways that he can get you out. He can throw you fastballs at mid-90s to a little bit higher than that, or he can drop that breaking ball on you. And he can get the hitters. You have to gear up for the fastball, that it's very difficult to lay off of the breaking ball, even when they're down and out of the strike zone. That last one was a strike anyway, but so many of them are down and out of the strike zone, and he gets the hitter to fish for it.
So Ashley fouls off strike 1. And there's that off-speed pitch. 1-1 the count. And good curveball. Bush faced the minimum in his 2 innings. That one at 96 miles per hour. 2-2 the count to Nevin Ashley, a minor leaguer for the Mariners. He takes this one and bloops it out towards center. Back on it, though, is Anderson Tejada. Makes the play. And there are 2 gone. MLB.TV Premium. It's back and better than ever. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, enjoy almost 300 spring training games in the 2017 World Baseball Classic. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Go to MLB.TV for details. Mariners down to their final out this afternoon. Kella reaching back for a little more that time. Just wildly out of the zone. 96 again with the fastball. Looking for a light hitting middle infielder. Count 1-1. Couple of home runs today for the Rangers. That's been enough offensively because the pitching has been so good. The 2 runs the Mariners got were unearned runs. Guzman fields a slow roller at first and will handle it himself. And Kella exchanging a moment of levity. Game over. Rangers beat the Mariners 3-2 on the strength of some very good pitching this afternoon. We'll be back in just a moment.